Coming up on today's Locked On Senators, fresh off signing his contract extension, we're joined by recurring guest Kevin Mandolese.
And as a hashtag goalie friendly show, we have a lot of fun talking about some possible gear design for him, his time in the ECHL, and of course, his NHL debut.
Over a half hour with Mando. Let's get to it. This is the Locked On Senators podcast. It's your team every day.
Your Locked On Senators, your daily podcast on the Ottawa Senators. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
I'm Jake Sanderson, and you're listening to Locked On Senators podcast.
I'm Tim Stützle, and you're listening to the Locked On Senators podcast.
Welcome inside episode 842 of the Locked On Senators podcast. I'm Ross Levitan on the outskirts of enemy territory in Winnipeg, Manitoba, alongside Brandon Pillar up in the Blue Mountains. Please like and subscribe wherever you download your podcast. We're also free and available on YouTube. Today is Friday, July 14th, and Pilsy, initially we told the good citizens out there that we wouldn't have a Friday episode, but when a friend of a show signs a contract, you know we have to get their thoughts on it.
Absolutely, yeah. It was Kevin Mandolese, the goalie prospect for the Ottawa Senators. He joins us for the third time, and every time we talk to him, Ross, it's kind of a new big thing, big milestone that he's passed. And this one, we go about 15, maybe even close to 20 minutes just talking about everything that kind of encompassed his NHL debut and the other games he played. So awesome chat with Mando.
Well, at the time, it was the second most saves in a first NHL win in the history of the sport. It ended up getting one-upped by his teammate, Dylan Ferguson, against Pittsburgh later on in the year. But that night on Long Island, heck, we talked to his dad, Luciano Mandolese, the next day, and just the chaos that ensued of getting everybody to the rink. His brothers were there, his parents, his girlfriend, all made the trip. And he had a pretty tough year in terms of where he was playing, not only playing in the ECHL, the AHL, and the NHL, but all three of his NHL starts were on the second half of back-to-backs, all on the road. And he played in Boston against the Bruins. And then, I mean, say what you want. And again, these guys are pros and he's a pro. And that's why I'm making the excuses for him. He's not. He comes in here and he's really excited for next season. But that last game he played, they go Vancouver to Calgary. You lose an hour. It was the night where the time changes. Yeah. And they had gotten beat pretty bad the night before in Vancouver. So, hey, I thought he handled himself well all year. He's a huge frame goalie. And I mean, he gets some playoff experience this year too. I'm stoked to see what Mando's got in camp because he knows there's going to be stiff competition. Levi Meriläinen is over here full-time next year. Matt Sogard expected to be the starter in Belleville. So he knows as a 2018 draft pick, it's time for him to take a step as well.
Yeah, and that's why we were so excited when the Sens got that contract done with him, because this is a guy that he's done everything the Sens want him to, and he's got he's got a good head on his shoulder. You can tell he's working hard towards his goals, and we're cheering for him all the way. So definitely big Mando guys on this podcast.
Certainly. And you look at it even from the organizational perspective, they clearly believe in him as well, because Dylan Ferguson came in and played well at the end of the year, and they decided not to re-sign him, not even to qualify him as an RFA, because they believe in Mando. And after this interview, if you don't already, we believe you will as well. So let's get right to it. We got over half an hour coming up with Senators goalie prospect. Here is Kevin Mandolese. All right, we're now very pleased to welcome a friend of the show back to the program. It's Kevin Mandolese, a three-time guest now on Locked On Senators, coming off a signing of his extension, 1 year, two-way contract. Kevin Mandolese, welcome back. How you doing today, brother?
I'm doing good. How about you guys?
Doing really well. How's the summer going for you so far? You spend a lot of it in Ottawa. Are you in Montreal, kind of going back between the two?
Yeah, back and forth. To be honest, it's going by fast. So it's kind of sad in that way, but trying to make the most out of it, even with the bad weather.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I mean, hey, a good way to have a good summer is to sign a new deal. Congrats, Mando, to you on your new deal. That's got to feel good to, get that done, get it finalized. And now you can just kind of focus on your workouts and on ice training, right?
Yeah, well, first of all, thanks, and second of all, yeah, it's always in the back of your mind, and like it's just a question of time. But to know that it's like done deal and don't need to worry about it, and it's definitely like nice and fun to just kind of just focus on that and trying to improve and get ready for next season. So it's definitely fun for that.
And last season, you're all over the place from Allen, Texas, Belleville, Ottawa. And we have to start with the most notable stat. You have the third most saves in a first NHL win in the history of the sport. Take us back to that night on Long Island. How did you find out you were going to start in that game? I know your family came in day of. It was kind of a mad dash to get to the arena. Like, what was it all going through your mind, the lead up to that game?
I think I knew. I forget who we played. I think we played. No, I forget who we played first. The night before, it was a back-to-back, and I knew I was pretty much gonna figure it out on the plane. And I get a text from Berkey saying like, "Yeah, you're in tomorrow," and all of that. So I was like, "Oh, all right." So I texted my parents as soon as possible because my parents were still up because they had an idea it might happen and all that. So they just wanted to know. So I texted them, texted my girlfriend and all that. And I think Ottawa did a really good job to kind of reach out and also like plan everything with my agent and all that. So that was fun for them because they didn't need to worry too much about it, and also fun for me because I didn't have to worry about it as well. So, but yeah, it was crazy. But I think the entire night, the entire day, like was just kind of like blur almost. So, like, is this really happening? But no, like talking to Mads too before, I was like just kind of soaking in like the night and all that, like enjoying every moment. And I think I was on the bench before the game, just kind of looking around, trying to like not get too carried away in my thoughts, and just kind of like sick, like big rank, like Islanders, like it's like a pretty good team, like playing Sorokin and all that is like it's pretty surreal and pretty lucky. And I think that just kind of looking at it that way and not the way like, oh my god, I have to play well, and kind of freaking out about that just made it that much easier. I did have a little moment where I thought I was gonna pass out because I was like a bit nervous, but after that it kind of just went away. And I remember Matt's told me, he's like, you'll see, it's just like a normal hockey game. It seems like way bigger than it is, but it's just a normal hockey game. And like he was right, like he helped me a lot, even though like he's fairly new to the league, right? So, so that helped me tremendously, and just kind of was able to calm me down a bit before the game. And the moment I stepped on, and just like felt like more natural after to like getting my first few touches and making the first few saves too. So
man, we were fired up for you. And I should say it was already a happy flight. You guys played Calgary the night before, scored twice in the last 5 minutes to tie the game. And Timmy scored in overtime. So you're already flying high getting there. But on the second half of back-to-back, even later on or in the minors, you play a lot more of the back-to-backs. Like as a goalie, do you approach that any differently, knowing that your guys might need a couple extra whistles here or there?
Not really. It's like you try to get more whistles and all that, but it's like in any game, right? Like you want to, when you can, you want to get a whistle and get fresh guys and all that, keep it short. So as a goalie, you don't really change anything. I think in that for that it was the same, but no, like it's fairly the same game. Don't change anything, like, and it's same preparation basically.
Were you trying to get a touch early in the game? I noticed you were trying to play the puck quite a bit early and often.
Yeah, well, if I remember well, like I didn't have my first shot for a bit, or like a good chance for a bit. So I tried to like play a puck a bit, try to stay in the game. And but yeah, I definitely try to play a puck. I think I've always played the puck and always want to. But yeah, that was definitely like one in my mind, I was like, if I don't get a shot, I definitely want to try to move around and play a bit if I have the opportunity. And I think I did a few times. So it was good. Kind of made me stay in the moment.
Yeah, that's the thing. You want to get a feel for the game one way or another. Now, you mentioned it, and Ross and I talked about this a lot, so I want to kind of get you to dive more into this. But it was such a unique experience for you for your NHL debut, because I would say, I don't know, 95% of the time when goalies get their NHL debut, there's a veteran goalie that's already there that can, take them through everything. Be like, I've done this hundreds of times. Let me help you out and things like that. But for you, it was Mads Sogard there, who was very new to the NHL himself. But luckily, sure, maybe he's not a kind of seasoned veteran, but you guys are best buds. You guys know each other from Belleville. So what was that experience like? Just kind of both of you being like, we're in our early 20s. We are the number 1 and 2 goalies for the Ottawa Senators right now. Like that must have been a mixture of kind of like really fun and exciting, but also like, holy, this is wild that we're here in this moment. Yeah,
well, obviously when that happens because of injuries, and especially seeing Talbot and Forsey injured bad, especially for Forsey, like you never wish that upon anyone, right? Like it's like I felt bad seeing that. I remember getting called up and seeing that afterwards. It's like shit, like I feel bad, but to have that chance to have my first game with Mads, and it's funny because I think the year before we were talking, imagine if we have like our first game together.
Yeah,
that'd be pretty fun. But I think it made it more made me feel a bit more more in the present moment, more let's say it felt more natural because from seeing him in Belleville and just always being with him, and so coming back at the bench between TV timeouts and seeing him and just cracking jokes here and there, just kind of took off all the pressure, and it's just, instead of a Belleville jersey and 1,000 fans in the stands, it's Ottawa jersey and 18,000. So
no green seats in Long Island either. But hey,
no green seats.
A little different, eh?
Yeah,
a little different, but it was fun. Like it's definitely different since Maz was on the bench and not let's say Forsey or Talbot. But you know what? I wouldn't change it any other way. Like it was a special. It made it even more special for us to share it together.
Definitely.
Hope you're enjoying our chat with Mando. We'll get right back to it. But first, a word from our friends with Athletic Greens.
Yes, AG1 is the health drink that is fueling this podcast. Ross has been on the AG1 kick. I'm on the AG1 kick. And there's no reason why you shouldn't be either. Because first off, it's simple. Just 1 scoop of AG1 in your glass of water every day, and you're absorbing 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, superfoods, probiotics, and more, so you can start your day off right. This special blend of ingredients does so much for your health, including helping your gut health, your nervous system, your immune system, your energy, your recovery, your focus, your aging, all of these things. And it's lifestyle friendly. So whether you're keto, paleo, vegan, dairy-free, or gluten-free, it's all good. AG1 contains less than 1 gram of sugar, no GMOs, no nasty chemicals or artificial anything, and it still tastes great. So right now it's time to reclaim your health and arm your immune system with convenient daily nutrition. To make it easy, Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you got to do is visit athleticgreens.com/NHL network. Again, that's athleticgreens.com/NHL network to take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance from Athletic Greens.
Today's episode is also brought to you by the GLEBE Central Pub. Our friends at the GLEBE Central Pub. You can find them right in the heart of the Glebe. You can find them at 779 Bank Street. It's the perfect place to go on your way to Lansdowne. If you're going to check out the Red Blacks game this Friday at 4 o'clock when they host the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, you can go and get ready for the game at the Glebe Central Pub. Heck, the forecast looks like it could have some rain, so why not put a roof over your head and watch the game at the Glebe Central Pub? On Saturday, Overflow Rearview Pilsner is their beer of the day. Live music with Bent Up Good will be at the Glebe Central Pub from 9 p.m. up until midnight. So it basically flows right from the Red Blacks game into that. And tonight at Six Nations, Canada versus Australia is happening at TD Place. Hopefully, weather dependent, we'll get that game in. And you can also go check it out at the Glebe Central Pub. Guinness is the beer of the day. So go check out our friends at the Glebe Central Pub. You can find them right in the heart of the Glebe, 779 Bank Street. And make sure that you let them know Locked On Senators sent you. All right, now back to our conversation with Senators goalie prospect. Here is more with Kevin Mandolese. And just to bring everybody back to that moment, because Mads obviously got an extended stay in Ottawa this season, but he had only started one game. That night against Calgary was his first start at the time. You guys had 3 NHL starts between the two of you that night for the two goalies for the Senators. And now I'll ask this more generally because, I mean, you guys got outshot 5-0 in overtime. Like, do you feel confident in 3-on-3 all the time? Like, is that something that you feel complements the athleticism of your game?
Well, it definitely helps me since I'm very athletic and all that, and I can use it to my advantage. But I do 3-on-3 a lot in the summer, so that I think that helps me, especially like it's a pro league, so there's a lot of NHL players, so that I think definitely helps me. But I think you don't expect to also have a power play on in overtime, so that's a whole different situation that I'm not used to. But at the end of the day, I think you don't expect those situations to happen a lot, so you kind of just go with the flow, right? You just like, oh, whatever. Like I just move within within my game plan and all that, and after that, just stop the puck. Doesn't matter how. So, but no, I think right off the bat, I remember I think Bo Horvat had a semi breakaway or sort of a breakaway, and I think that just put me in confidence for the overtime because obviously it was my first overtime too in the NHL. So I think from that moment on, I was like, all right, let's go, So, but yeah, it was. I think I'd rather get outshot 5-0 and go into shootout than not have a shot and then head into shootouts. So, but no, it was definitely fun.
Yeah,
go ahead.
Oh, okay, I wanted to get into that with you because, like you were saying, Mads is trying to tell you it's just a regular game. Like, stay focused on that, and you're like, okay, I just got to get through 60 minutes. It's gonna be fine. And then the buzzer goes overtime. Okay, just 5 minutes, just another 5 minutes, and then that's it. Okay, now you're in a shootout, and now, like you mentioned, 18,000 fans are probably cheering against you. You're on national television, and it's just you and one shooter out there. Like, at that point, are you just feeling so confident? Like, you had a good overtime, you played well in regulation, or are you just like, I got this, I'm in the moment, I'm in the zone here? Or were you kind of like, we got to go to shootout now? Like, oh man, like, what was your vibe at that point after OT?
To be honest, it's so weird because I think a big part of what me and Justin Peters back in Bell try to focus on is always like kind of taking one period at a time. Right. Like even like let's say TV timeouts, like let's say you played to the first TV timeout and then you kind of reset. So it didn't feel like, oh my God, like more time, like get me out. Like,
Gotcha.
It's like, I was just more like, okay, just let's say 3 more shooters, like minimum, or 2 more shooters. Like if everything goes well, it's just like, just focus on the next shooter or the next shot. And I think the moment I feel very comfortable in shootouts. So when it was in shootouts, I was pretty, like, I wasn't as nervous. I think it was the part that made me nervous because like, oh, NHL and like NHL shootouts, like I've never done that before. Like guys are so talented, and then you have guys that are coming in and you're like kind of like, okay, let's say I remember the second shot Palmieri. I was like, oh, like let's say I was expecting a guy like Barzal or something like that to go, and I was like, okay, he might be like they're probably putting him because like he has a move that works a lot. So you're like, oh shit, like trying to kind of think like what he could do and if you remember anything you saw from TV. But no, I think after that you just kind of play and like whatever happens. So no, I didn't see it in any way like more like OT, shootout. It was just more like, just next shot.
Nice.
Just until the game ends, until we win. So
Yeah, and just watching that, and I guess my question, because you often see there's that little 2-3 minutes while they're doing the quick lap of the ice before the shootout, and some goalies are either looking at the iPad or the backups looking at them. Maybe a more veteran guy who's like, I've seen this guy make those moves. Like, were you looking for information of the Islanders shooters, or at that point you don't even know who's going and they don't have a set lineup, so you're just like, hey, I've got my guy, push, glide, slide, just get it done.
Yeah, I think I was just talking with Mads, and I was like, I think I looked at him, I was like, of course we're going to shoot out, right? Like, just something like funny like that. We both started laughing, and no, I don't know. I feel whenever I'm at the bench, I try to just not think about hockey, just kind of talk with Mads, smile, laugh, like crack a joke or two, and head back. So
that was what your dad. That's what your dad told us. He said he got home, he's watching the highlights. He's like, they're laughing. They're having, like, how are they so calm at the bench? It was hilarious.
Well, basically, I think it's one way to kind of just relax, right? Like it's nice to just put your head somewhere else and just relax and laugh for a bit and like let the tension down and then just keep going with the game. So I wasn't really looking for any information, and I was just like, I think it was just one of those nights where it was going well, and I was like, I know, like, I'll just go with my feeling and see how it goes. But definitely was fun. That was definitely fun.
When you're going into a shootout, it's nice having Tim Stützle on your side, hey?
Oh, any of those top six guys, you love having them on. Yeah, it's crazy. I think we're so deep, like, for shootouts, it's like there's no way we don't win this.
Yeah.
And so it's definitely nice to have Timmy and all those guys. But I think what made it special is like Drake scoring and just, like he was there for my first game junior. He was there for my first game NHL. So I don't know, just the connection just made it fun. It was just special.
That's so cool. I didn't even put that together. And hey, but we'll get to it a little bit later. But Sens preseason in Cape Breton next season.
I know.
That's going to be awesome, hey?
There's going to be a lot of begging needed to be done.
To be in net for that one. We heard Drake say that he's like they play back-to-back, Cape Breton and Halifax. He's like, I'm going into DJ's office. I'm saying, yes, sir, I need to play both of those in preseason. Usually, hey, the Nats are like, no, I'll take this off. He's like, no, I'm playing back-to-back. I need to.
I'll have to ask Drake if he can push for me to play.
Yeah. There you go. Now, speaking of playing back home, though, all three of your NHL games were on the road when you played last season. So not really a question, more just a comment. We got to get you at home at the CTC so the fans can welcome you in. Was that something you were kind of thinking about? Like, oh, I'd love to get a home game in here, or it's just, like you said, take it one day, one game at a time?
It definitely would have been nice to have a home game, but at that point, you're just happy you have the chance to play. You kind of figure out that your first game is probably going to be on the road, just to kind of and like disregard all the distractions of being at home, the crowds, the fan, and all that. But like, I think Matt's first game too was on the road, so and I think just how the schedule is built out, right? Like, I think it just happened for me to play like the back-to-backs home and away. So, but yeah, I wouldn't change anything. I think it was a lot of great experiences, and especially I think Boston too was really, really fun to see and to witness, like that great of a team and how I can like face up to them and all that. So, no, I think I wouldn't change it any other way, but it would definitely be fun to have the next one at home.
Yeah, all three second half of back-to-backs. You mentioned at Boston on Family Day weekend there, and then the final one was after the Vancouver game with travel to Calgary as well. But man, I thought you stood tall. I thought it was a great showing through your three NHL games. You also got to spend a lot of time on the bench too, with the injuries to both Forsey and Talbot, like you mentioned. Like, what was there one play that kind of got you out of your seat here? We were talking the other day on the show about like our top moments or top plays of the year. Like, is there one when you think back that really stands out?
I think it has to be against Calgary, or was it Calgary in the overtime win? Or
that was Timmy's goal in against Calgary.
But
home?
I think when we tied it, when Cat tied it on with the extra man, I think that was like crazy moment. But
down 2 with 5 minutes left.
Yeah,
I think
know.
I said I quit, and then I was like, I'm pretty sure that I have a tweet up that said there is a 0% chance the Senators win this game.
I think that's that game, Ross. Yeah,
it was.
But it's crazy because the moment you put those guys out, anything can happen, right? Like you have G that can find anyone. Like he's so good at like just finding people open and all that, and like having Cat that can finish, like Chucky that can tip so many pucks. Like it's funny because we work a lot. Like when I was there, like after practices every time, like he's tipping pucks and he's just got really good at screening goalie while tipping pucks, and just with the depth they have and all the talent, like something can happen when you have that extra man out. So whenever we tied it, I don't know, I just had the feeling we were gonna win that one. But I'd say that tying goal that Cat did against Calgary was pretty clutch.
Yeah, that was good. We don't talk about him on this show anymore, but that's fair for you.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
No, it's all good. So we really dove into your NHL experience there, but you got a chance to play in all 3 leagues last season: NHL, AHL, and the ECHL, and you finished off the season in the ECHL.
I was going to say only guy in the organization to play a playoff game this year.
Yeah, exactly. And a bunch of playoff games at that. Now, last time around, you were playing with the Atlanta Gladiators, this time with the Allen Americans. So just tell us a little bit about your experience playing hockey in Allen, Texas.
It was fun. Yeah, I think it's at the start of the year when I went down, I was obviously wasn't playing my best. I think mentally I didn't have the right mindset, so it kind of didn't help me to play well and to stay in Belleville. But I think that was really good for me to just go down, kind of reset. And I think the people there too, like the fans and the organization, made me feel welcome. And but no, it's the energy in that building is crazy. Like especially in playoffs more, like it was even crazier. But no, it was fun. It's a nice spot to be. Nice weather, obviously. Everything's close by. Like people there are great, so it was definitely different from Belleville or Ottawa, because obviously it's a different way. It's in Texas and all that. So, but I didn't think there'd be a lot of fans because it's like, oh, you have the Stars and all that. But people showed up, made some noise. Nice. It was really fun, and especially playing hockey there was fun. Like playing playoffs kind of reminded me like why you play hockey and all that. So that was fun. Just sucks that I couldn't finish the second round because injuries, but be able to play a lot and to get into a groove and to be able to play well too was fun.
What's the dynamic when you go down there? Because obviously there's a guy who's been the starter, and then it's just kind of you get put there and it's like, well, obviously we're going to use him. He's got the pedigree and the talent. So is that kind of an awkward situation, or is it something that everybody's just kind of knows the deal?
I think they know what's the deal, I guess. But I think in the East Coast it's a bit different. Like guys have a bit more trouble accepting it. And so we're like 3 goalies when I got there, and one left for some reason, and the other one was really good. Like we talked, like I always had like was always happy, was always like he wasn't like bitter and anything towards me and all that. So that was really nice. They could be mad when I'm not around, and I understand because like I'm a bit in their shoes when, let's say, if someone comes down from the NHL and goes into the American League, like I'd be the odd man out. But at the end of the day, like they could be mad, I understand. But when they were like the other goalie was with me, like he was really nice, like good guy, just working hard worker. It was fun, like but it didn't create any issue, wasn't awkward at all. So it made it easier also to come at the rink and having everyone just kind of happy, right? So.
Nice. That's good. Now, I forget if we asked you about this last time, but I'll ask again. Maybe you have a different answer. A lot of people tend to say the ECHL is a great place for goalies to develop, because, especially goalies, because you go down there and that same defensive structure, the same kind of talent level of the decor in front of you isn't where it's at in the AHL or NHL. So oftentimes, you're having to face rebound shots, 2-on-1s more often, things like that. Is that something you found, that going down to the ECHL, you're like, wow, I gotta up my game here because I don't have the same kind of structure in front of me?
Yeah, I think it's not upping your game, because when there's like high danger shots, you're as ready as the American League. I think it's more like just being ready for like turnovers or plays that in the American League would be dead, aren't dead necessarily in the East Coast, because it's different, right? Like, I think it's just being more like staying ready, saying like, let's say not being like, oh, okay, we have the puck, we're fine type of thing, right? But it is a really, really good league for goalies. I think obviously goalies always takes more time, and you need to develop, and to develop you need to play games. So that was the whole reasoning of me going down there. And to be honest, at the start I was a bit sour, which is I think normal, but like I told Berkey, because I went on the ice with him last week, and I told Berkey, is like, after it, I was able to kind of take a step back, and I was really happy that happened, because first of all, it made me able to play 10 games more, or 11 games more. I forget the number. Made me able to play hockey, and that's just going to help me develop, right? So it's like 10 games that I wouldn't have had if I stayed in Belleville. And at the end of the day, I want to get to the NHL. So like, I want to play as much games I can get to develop and get there faster, right? But and that was the only option for me to have to develop. And like I said, I was like, I think that was really beneficial for me.
Well, one of your good friends as well, Joey DeCourt, spent a bunch of time in the ECHL. What'd you think of his playoff run, man? Back-to-back shutouts in the Calder Cup final. Pretty sick, eh?
It's funny because I was texting him during the final. I didn't want to annoy him too much, but I just let him know I was rooting for him and all that. And I just feel so bad. Like, the ending of it all, I thought, I definitely thought they should have won. It really gets me, because I really think like, with all the great seasons he's put together in the American League, I think he deserved it. And it just sucks to like that he lost in that way, to like overtime at home, but at the end of the day, like, he had a great season, signed a nice contract,
Signed a nice deal, eh?
Whatever's waiting for him, he fully deserves it, and can't be happier for him.
Well, it's a perfect transition into the gear game, because we know Dak spends half his offseason designing his stuff. What can we expect from you? And people are watching on YouTube, just throw up our Reactor retro set that you were rocking last year. The chrome cage looks unreal too. What do you have in store for us next year, Mando?
To be honest, I still don't know. So it'll be a surprise for me and you guys. So I'm definitely working on it.
All right. Can't wait to see that.
How many people's opinions do you get, whether it's designing your mask or your gear? Like, are you texting with Mads or Joy or any of your other buddies who are around, or are you just kind of talking with your painter, let him do his thing?
I usually tell him what I'm leaning towards. But it's funny because I always ask my dad and my brother, like, oh, what's your opinion on that, and if we switch a few things here and there, and those are usually my go-to, and then I give the final okay. But same thing for mask. I usually don't have a lot of ideas, but I let him do a bit of what he wants, and then I tell him what I want on behind my mask. It's pretty much the same all the time, but No, I definitely should spend more time like Joey does for helmets and gear.
I feel like incorporate an island, something like if you're standing on an island, just to symbolize that you got your first win on Long Island. I feel like there could be something there. We could be playing with fire here.
Yeah, and after that, people are always like, "Oh, put the Mandalorian." And when I did, no one knew. I'm like, oh.
Was it like in the background?
It was like, it's a bit subtle, but it's
you kind of need it to be subtle. You don't want it to be like, almost corny. Like my fiance's name's Rachel, Ross and Rachel. Everyone's like, oh, friends this, friends that. And like, you get to a point like Mandalorian, Mando. I'm sure you get that all the time where it's probably like, all right. We get it.
We get it.
But I was thinking maybe like I'm French and Italian, maybe putting half the helmet like of like Italian like scenery or stuff like that, and the other half like French stuff. So I don't know.
Nice. But the Leaning Tower of Pisa and the Eiffel Tower on each side. There you go.
But so I don't know. I still haven't put a lot of thought into it. I was waiting for my deal to be done to have the like perfect like, okay, now you're for sure going back, do this and that. I was like, all right. But I'll definitely have to think more about it now that you bring that up.
Okay, well, people in the comments on YouTube, let us know what Mando should put on his helmet. We'll copy and paste, and we'll send you a detailed email. We'll CC your painter on there too, and we'll get everything all set up there. Hey, a big LOSP logo on one side. That could be the
true.
plan.
That could be it.
That would be really nice. Well, was it with you or Matt's we were talking about you guys were going to put each other's dogs on each other's helmet or something like that, right?
Yeah, but he ended up doing his helmet quick, and I think he put the Where's Waldo.
True.
Yeah, so I ended up just putting my own dogs on my helmet.
Nice. Well, I like those little things because Joey does that with the Sun Devil. The Sun Devil mascot is hidden in all of his mask designs. So it's kind of cool to have a little Easter egg like that.
That is pretty cool, actually. I didn't think about that, but I'm not.
We have to put a Easter egg. We have to find something that everyone has to find when you put out your helmet.
Oh. Yeah, put two things, both of your faces, but just hidden in the mask.
Like this.
All right,
hey,
sounds
we're
good.
all for it. We're all for it. Mando, appreciate your time, man. Final question for me is, what's the on-ice routine? Who are you skating with this summer? I know Igor said that he's taking shots on you sometimes when you guys are together in Ottawa. What's your setup this summer?
So basically, up until mid-August, I'll be in Montreal 3 days a week. Cool. Going on the ice with my goalie coach back home, actually goalie coach from the Laval Rocket.
Oh, nice. Okay.
And then after that, there's a 3-on-3 league, pro league, where like Matthew Joseph is there, his brother's there, PL's Dubois, Sprong.
Is Boko out there? Do you know him at all?
No, I don't know Boko. I played against him in my first year, junior, and he seems like a really nice guy. Like we talked a bit at the red line, and I remember him. He was like, "Oh, is it your first game in the queue?" I was like, "No, second." It's like, "Oh, good luck, man." I was like, "Oh, okay." Like I didn't expect that. I was just shy. I was shy and scared because he was like the big tough guy. I was like, "Oh." I was like scared that if you talk to me, he's gonna kill me. I was like, "Oh, don't talk to me." But no, he's a really nice guy, and that's what I got from a lot of the people that I know. They told me that play with him or knows him. He's just like super nice guy, and anyone that I think that's friends with Matthew the Josephs are nice people. So
you got half of that Sea Dogs team with you guys now, with Highmore as well, Shabby, obviously.
I know it's crazy, but yeah, we'll see. It used to be a lot of Eagles, and now it's turned into a Sea Dogs. So we'll see how that goes. But
last one for me is Igor looking fast out there this summer when you're seeing him? The shot's still elite. We need the scouting report.
The shot's always elite. It's funny because he went on the ice with me, and I was like, oh, like I was feeling good. Like I was, like he was stationary and was shooting like from close, sort of, I guess. And it was my first time on. And then the moment he started like moving and skating, I was like, oh my god, like I can't, I can't. But No, it's just shaking off a bit of rust for me. But after that, I told him, I was like, I'll be better next time when you move. I'm just trying to shake off the rust. Don't think I'm bad. But no, it was good. It's fun to have him shooting on me here when I can go on. I think I'll definitely be going on more when I'm here full time during the week. But when I'm on here like once a week, definitely gonna try to lure him out on the ice and have him shooting on me, because it definitely helps.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Now, final question for me, Mando, and thanks so much for joining us again. Third time on the show. We love having you on. #goalie friendly show. What's something, and it kind of alludes to what you're talking about off-season workouts. What's something you're really focusing on this off-season? Like, if there's one thing that you're like, this is where I'm going to be better next year, what's that one thing?
Definitely try to work my mental side of the game, I think.
Okay.
I've never been shy to talk about it. I think for goalies, that's the biggest part. Just by nature, the position. It's there's a lot of it that mentally has to do with our game. So, talking to my goalie coaches, like back home and to Justin Peters, I think that's something we talked about to improve. And I think I learned a lot mentally from last year, towards like my mindset and what to do and all that. And my best hockey, I played it when in the second half when I got called up and I got sent down right afterwards. And mentally, I wasn't. My mind was clear. I was just like playing hockey and it was fun. And if I can tap into that and be able to have that clear mind for a whole year or most of the year, then I really believe that it could be very, very good for me and dangerous for the other teams. So I think if I improve on that, I think it'll be a really good season.
I love it, Mando. We're really looking forward to seeing the gear, the setup, and you at training camp. And we're going to be screaming from the podcast rooftops to get you in the net in Cape Breton in preseason for the Ottawa Senators. Mando, always appreciate your time, man. You're a real friend of the show. Great family as well. We loved having your dad on as well. And we wish you all the best of success going forward. Thanks again, man.
Well, thank you for having me. It's always fun. And I'm available anytime for you guys. Thanks for having me.
Stick taps to Mando for joining us. Really fun conversation with him. Always enjoy his insight, his honesty, and what a story with the first NHL start. Pilsy, I know training camp's still a little ways away, but that goalie battle for Belleville is going to be something to watch for as we approach it.
Yeah, I mean, you've got Mads there, you've got Mando, and you've got Marilainen, the three M's. They're all battling for spots. And look, sure, goalie injuries happen, but you hope that everyone stays healthy and there's just good internal competition throughout the crease there. So I've said it before and I'll say it again. Belleville continuously looks to be in a better spot than they were last season. And in the crease, that's one area that I feel pretty confident in.
Great week here on Locked On Senators. Tyler Clevin joined the show earlier this week. We had Oscar Pettersson and Philip Nordberg on yesterday's show. We're going to have Hoyt Stanley next week, one of the newest members of the Ottawa Senators, their first pick in this last NHL draft. That's another live interview from development camp. On Wednesday, we had Dan Tate, our first Sens Central citizen of this summer. Those will continue next week. Any final thoughts as we go into the weekend, Pilsy?
Final thoughts for me is just enjoy your weekend, everybody. It's middle of summer, kind of the dog days of summer, but hopefully everyone's enjoying the weekend, and hopefully everyone is staying safe as the tornadoes in the Ottawa area, especially Barrhaven, have been pretty intense. So hopefully everyone's doing all right, and our thoughts and prayers are with everyone in the area.
Very well said, Pilsy. I leave you with the same note. Thank you so much for making us your first listen each and every day, all through the week. Everything is free and available to you online as well. If you missed an episode, be sure to go catch up on that. For today, though, we say goodbye. For Brandon Pillar, I'm Ross Levitan. This has been the Locked On Senators podcast, your team every day.